Thank you so much for being here, Access TV, and thank you, Chef Todd. Just wonderful food this evening. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having me here. It is really a joy and an honor. And thank you, Rachel, for making the introduction. And so my name is Ibiyinka, and you can just call me Ibi. From all indication, I do not think there's any other person here named Ibiyinka. Right? It's not very likely. I don't think it's a traditional Bellingham name. Right? Ibiyinka means to be surrounded by family. So in my culture, which is the Yoruba culture from the western part of Africa, anytime a name is given to a child, it will have a meaning like that. And I was given the name because there were many family members around the house when I was born. What it means in my life now is that as I travel around the world, there's family in everyone that I meet. So we all have a lot more in common than we have different from each other. As every name has a meaning, so does every artwork that comes from that part of the world. I will show you some of the slides that I use, especially in my work as an ambassador, and tell you some of the stories, and feel free to ask me any questions you may have afterwards. I think this is an informal gathering to visit, and so please feel free to ask me any question. I hope to meet every single person here before we all part tonight. The art advocacy is really very important, especially for my work. I've traveled to so many countries, and my work requires that I go to a lot of indigenous cultures, try to visit to save certain languages that are fading away, certain cultural practices. And unfortunately, a lot of our government do not know the importance of preserving culture, because the government is not built to see, except if people advocate. Government is not really built to see the need for preserving history as humans are built to do that. So this is saving the art is really a question of human to human, and that's why any one of us that is moved, that's passionate enough, we should get involved, and that's how we can preserve these things for generations to come. I'm going to start by telling you a little story, something that actually happened to me the first time I came to the United States, which helped me to understand the importance of understanding other people. When my president asked me to be an ambassador, you see, I wasn't really trained formally as a diplomat, so I had to learn a lot of things along the way. I didn't know how to address people so well. There are some people you have to address as Your Excellency or Your Majesty, all those kind of things. So I had to learn. Now, you make a lot of mistakes along the way. By the way, but my hat here, does it look like a crown to you? Mm-hmm. Kind of, maybe you think I'm a king. Let me make this optional. If you so desire, please address me as Your Majesty. The rest of you, no. So I went to, I was very anxious to learn a lot of things about your great country, the United States of America. I wanted to learn especially the slangs that are used in this country, because if you use American slangs in communicating with your brothers and sisters or family at home or friends, they all kind of think you are cool because you are talking like an American. So I was so anxious to learn slang so that I can talk and appear cool. Well, the first slang I picked up, as you might guess, is a vulgar word. So it's not supposed to be used at all. I understand that people here know how to keep secrets, so this story is not getting out of here. Right?
Remember, you're on camera.
telling her, okay.
We can imagine the words.
You don't have to say the word, we got it.
So I was sent to, my first assignment was to go to the African Unity Festival, which is in a town called Indianapolis, in the state of Indiana. And so anytime I heard the people get mad at each other, either seriously or jokingly, I would hear them use this expression, I'll kick your ass. Now, I know we are all laughing because we probably never heard it before, right? But when I heard it, it was for a completely different reason for which I thought they used it. Because growing up in Nigeria, the only word that ever interpreted for me to mean ass was a small donkey. So I thought somehow maybe that's the origin of the expression. And you know this more because we did a lot of American history during my high school or my secondary school. And I know from there that one of the things we learned about the United States of America is that there were a lot of farmers that came to this country in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. So I just thought that maybe in those days, whenever one farmer got mad at another, that what they would do is to jump over the other farmer's fence and go kick the donkey of the one farmer. So hence that expression that I'll kick your donkey ass and I'll kick your ass. So without any reservations, I started using it a whole lot. I would say it every time, and I would say it even when it wasn't necessary to use it. Like I would say it as a greeting. You know what I mean? Like if you talk that way, I know it's vulgar and all, but if you use that expression, normally you use it if you are mad with someone. But in my own case, you know, I would say it as a greeting. Say, hey man, good morning, and kick your ass. So, needless to say, I was so embarrassed when I was finally told what it meant. The problem was that nobody told me what it meant until all the damage had been done. The mayor that was hosting us, I said it to him, I just said it to everyone. And so that was really shocking to me. And you know, people try to be respectful, and so they don't correct you all the time. And that's how I know that if you are traveling, you always make sure you understand what people mean before you just adopt whatever they are saying and you say it, because you can be in the same position that I found myself. Also in Nigeria, if you call someone an ass, it's one of the biggest compliments you can give a person, because an ass is the only animal that will do its work honestly and never ask for anything in return. So they use it a lot for public office holders to mean that someone is very honest and very giving of themselves. You see it in the newspaper, they will say she's an ass or he's an ass, to mean that someone is incorruptible, you know what I mean? That they are very hardworking, which actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but even in your country here, I think one of your political parties has an ass as its symbol, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Republican?
No.
Democratic? Okay, yeah, so and I think that's a sign of hard work, of labor. And so you kind of wonder that at what point did it change? At what point did it change from the ass of the compliment to an insult? And because I'm pretty sure if you are on the streets of New York City and you call someone an ass, they are not going to say thank you for the compliment, right? Those are fighting words. And so as words and meanings can be so different, so can the meanings and interpretations of cultures. And as it happened to me, the reason I will not use that expression anymore is not because it's right or wrong to me. Because to me, it just sounds interesting, especially from my culture. The reason I will not use it is out of respect for the United States, or out of respect for everyone that I meet here, because then I know what it means. And in common, when people agree that something is wrong, so it's better to observe it instead of being arrogant and say it doesn't matter. I think that's one of the chief ways in which we can ensure a measure of peace and understanding in our world. that there are things that if we love a friend or we love a family member, if they say they don't like something, instead of, our proud nature would be to say, why do they not like it? It doesn't make sense. Just observe it, out of respect for them. Because if you love that person, you will try to observe what they say they don't like. Maybe with time they may change, but it's always good to do that. There are many places that I've been to where I've had to not eat certain kinds of food out of respect for people over there. You use your left hand to shake hands. In some places, everyone withdraws from you because they think you are insulting them. So all these things, you notice them and you see what is wrong in point A is not wrong in point B. But observe them anyways, because we all live in this same world. And so that's where I'm going to begin with, and just bear that in mind as we go through all this. When we think we understand certain cultures from Africa, there are certain stories that go with artwork that are not necessarily the way we conceive them to be. And a lot of the pictures are very colorful because as a country, Nigeria is much closer to the equator, so we see things a lot brighter. You can feel as if you can touch the sun when you're under the West African skies, and so things are always vibrant and joyful and happy. So this is a typical example of that here. Sometimes it's just something simple, like the horse. That's the front of my house in Nigeria. It's an old retired horse. Often comes to drink water. One day I decided to paint a picture of him. Sometimes it's what we are all used to. But sometimes it's also about faith, what people believe in, whether we are Christians, whether we are Muslims, whether we are Buddhists, or any religion always comes through in art. And in fact, art opens people's heart. One of the things I discover in my work, so I work as a peace negotiator. And when you work as a peace negotiator, so I have the double advantage of being an artist, and I am the art ambassador, so then I get to inject art into a lot of our conversations, try to make people or help people think in a different way from the way that caused them not to want to talk to each other in the first place. And you see that people are usually very passionate about religion, the things that they believe in. And I mean, no matter how we try to swing it, some people don't have any religion, some people have all kinds of religion, but in itself, that is a religion, not having any religion. And if we believe in that, our belief system usually is where we can reach each other, like find connections that no matter what questions of faith, people are just more, if they can see that in their faith, it's wrong to do something or right to do something, they will be more compassionate towards people. So, and that's why these things are very important. In any case, because I'm raised a Christian, a lot of my pictures are inspired by biblical stories, apart from being inspired by my culture as an African. So where you see a lot of those colors. Peter is one of the disciples of Christ. They went out fishing all day. They were successful. Christ comes and says, put your net on the good side of the river. Well, when they did that, they made a huge catch of fish. I know here probably some of us have gone fishing before, right? Yeah, because you have water all around here. And so many of us might be a lot more familiar with the fishing hook than the fishing net. In Nigeria, we use the net a lot. That's why you see the fisherman with the net here and the hand of divine providence guiding him. In any case, anytime there's you tell a story, whether it's from the Quran or from Buddhism or Christianity, because something like a lot of the religious texts we have, they are written within a very different cultural context. The need arises that we tell the story according to, or we translate this text according to the culture. Okay, so simply what I mean is that there are certain things that don't exist. For example, there's something in the Bible that says, I will blot out your sins and they will become white as snow. So here, that makes sense, right? If you tell that to a child in West Africa, they probably have never seen snow before. So if you've never seen it before, how do you know the whiteness of snow? And so, just little, you can see white like the clouds or like fabric, but not the snow. Sometimes it's just about being homesick. So New York City is where my office is, and I love New York City for all its beauty. But that first year that I made that same mistake, I also made a second mistake of staying in New York City through the winter. Yeah, so that's why I never stayed there anymore after that first year. It's unreal the way it gets cold. I mean, Nigeria gets to be 120 degrees, 130 degrees sometimes. So the coldest temperatures we have is in the 60s. Yeah, I know, right? And when it's in the 60s, we all think we are going to die of cold. We are putting on sweaters and jackets, say, man, this cold. I discovered that you people actually think it's nice when it's in the 60s.
Right now, it'd be real nice.
How crazy is that? People are putting on shorts and all. Anyway, I won't try to cause any kind of controversy here, but people, I can't believe that people stay in New York City when it's 0 degrees. What kind of people do this thing? So but that year I stayed and I got really homesick. I ended up staying indoors, with the heat most of that winter. And that's why I painted this picture. You see the women, they are pounding yam, they sing around the mud as they do that, the thatch roof and the hut, the urgency of the sun I've shown with the yellow on the ground. So the reason I'm stopping at this picture is because part of what I have done in the Northwest on this visit is that I've visited a lot of the schools around the area, talking to children, high school, middle school, elementary, preschool, and some college students about the need for injecting art into their conversation, understanding the mysteries and the value of art, which ends up impacting world peace and diplomacy in my work. So anytime I share this picture with them, I will teach them a song that we all sing together, which is a Yoruba song. And then we all dance to the music. We say art is frozen music. Art is frozen music. So anytime you have a visual interpretation of art, there's always what flows, the musical. So that's a very West African idea, but I think it's not only West Africa, very universal. Music will be the liquid form of the frozen art or architecture and other things like that. Well, so I told you we'll do this song together and then we all dance together. I will do it here tonight, but I'm not going to do it. The reason for that is that it's more for self-preservation. Americans are generally very ugly dancers. So I think I've seen enough now. So I will just, I will skip it. That's one of the things to, you can't get it all. The United States of America is the greatest country in the world, it's the richest country in the world, but the ability to dance, you don't have it. So I think we are happy for it. But let me just teach you this song. It goes, Ma ṣe kánjú jọ̀lúwa, Ma ṣe kánjú jọ̀lúwa, Ma ṣe kánjú jọ̀lúwa, Ma ṣe kánjú jọ̀lúwa. Ilé ló fẹ́ ní láyé rẹ̀, ọmọ ló fẹ́ bí láyé rẹ̀, ìwé ló fẹ́ kà láyé rẹ̀, Èdùmàrè á ṣe tí Oh my goodness, you see? That's beautiful. Yeah, applause. I don't have my drum here tonight. Okay, next time I won't try to hesitate. I just want to, sometimes ugly dancing gives me nightmares. So I it's already night. Like it's better not to see. Like you want the last thing you see to be a beautiful thing. Yeah. So I mean, you get my point. So yeah, but so that's the song, and it just is something about being patient, and so we all performing together in order to see this. So. Body language is a very understanding body language is a very effective means for diplomacy. So there are lots of times that people will not tell you what is really important to them, and you are trying to solve their problem, especially when it comes to ethnic divide or country to country. So in my work, I have over time developed this that when you understand the dance type that comes from a person's country or culture, you can most likely read what it is that they mean to tell you, but which they are not telling you. And so that's very, very effective. Those of us who have worked in conflict resolution, we notice that most people don't say the very things they are supposed to say to you that will help you to solve their problem. So it's left to you not to see that and read that, and dance is a very effective way to do that. And so we all just discuss it and do a workshop about it and all the rest. But I'm going to show you these last few pictures, and then please again feel free to ask me any questions. I'm just really delighted that we are all here together tonight, and so I'll be looking forward to all that. Sometimes it's the mystery. So art tells a story, also possesses mystery. If you look at this picture, you see a lot of things going on at the same time, but you might notice the giant foot behind the two suns. So the way the shadows extend, we tell you where the light is in this. But notice, do we see the two faces on both ends of the picture? The pantry carves out the forehead. You have the blue wheel for the eyebrow, the eye, the nose, and the lips, and then a similar face on the other side. Do we see that? Okay, so that's why in the culture, like in the Yoruba culture, we have a lot of proverbs and parables, which a proverb is something that you tell each other that, or even in English, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't usually mean that the person is going through a physical tunnel. It just usually means that somebody is trying to encourage you. You are taking the test that you will be successful in it, so don't worry, something like that. And so it's as it happens in words that we do it a lot with visual art, so that whatever people figure out themselves, they never forget or they remember for a long time. Now, this is the picture that won the award. For those of us who are not familiar, the reason I actually became an ambassador was that I got the chance to represent my country in the United Nations International Art Competition. This is something that they do among 61 countries once every 2 years. And so that year, I ended up winning the first place, representing Nigeria. And so because it was the first time that someone from Africa will win, because previous years it's been mostly people from Europe, or I think a few people from the United States. And so this is the painting I sent in that won the award. It chronicles the life of a woman from infancy to old age and how her values changes with time, from the little girl to the girl child, to the adult woman, to the mother, to the grandmother, and the great-grandmother. Of course, in this it's called The Diversity of Life, but the actual title is Girls and Greener Environment, that advocating for having a greener space to live in our world. And so I focused on what will help that, or what will drive that to happen, which is why I put them all on the red ground. That all other values, they change over time, from infancy to, when we become adults. But love never, ever changes. Yes, sir.
In the background, are those fields?
Yes.
The round things?
That's right. And I have a special surprise. We're actually going to show you something in this original where you'll be able to see the actual colors. So they are like rice patties.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
stylized, and you have that in the south of Nigeria a lot.
Yeah.
So that we should be careful what we desire or what we look for, because certain things change over time. As children, we love some things we may not love as much when we become adults. When I was about 7 years of age, I used to have a dream, something I so passionately wanted to become in the future, which maybe some of us can guess what that dream used to be. But then my dream was that one day when I became an adult and start working and start making money, that all I was going to do with my money would be to build for myself a really huge mansion, and that all I was going to buy in that mansion would be candy. As an adult, I still love that candy a lot, but I don't use all my money to buy it. In fact, it sounds funny now, but actually in those days, I remember vividly, I used to think my parents were just wasting money buying all these healthy things for us to eat at home, like vegetables, things like broccoli. I used to think, why can't they think and just buy candy with all that? One of the things I really love about the United States of America is that you guys have a lot of candy in here. So I've been to 35 countries, and there's none other that actually sets a day aside like you have. Halloween. Halloween. I mean, what a great festival for right? So because all you do is you go to your neighbor's house, you paint your faces, you scare them, and they just give you all their candy. So we don't have it in Nigeria. I'm hoping to, when I get home in a few weeks, I hope to introduce legislation to start Halloween. But it would be senseless to use all one's money to buy candy, right? That when we are children, there are certain ways we think that is different from when we are adults. Still the same people, but no longer the children we used to be. This is important too, because you find out that it's just a law of life generally. As we get older, there are certain things, even land, that many people kill themselves over. At a certain point, you just get to realize that you never owned any land anyways. That land just owns us for some time and discards of us. Yet, it's the number one cause for most of the wars that we have in the world. But that if we can just take love as more important. These last two pictures, let me just quickly highlight them. So this one is a self-portrait, and does it look like me? No, hopefully not, right? No, it doesn't look like me. It's in character more. If you have a friend that looks like this, you probably would tell them to go get plastic surgery, right?
I'd kick their ass.
Where did you hear that from? So you make an interpretation of yourself as an individual based on what you feel like inside. And I think artists have been doing this for generations to come. A self-portrait is usually more about who you are on the inside than on the outside. An artist is a person with a hole in their heart that is equal in size to the entire universe outside of them. So every time I paint a picture, all I'm doing is to fill this hole in my heart. Some people do this by becoming engineers. Some people do this by becoming physicians or farmers or teachers or soldiers, just whatever profession. For some people, the only way they can feel the emptiness in their heart is if they become the president or king or queen of a nation. Right? Who does that kind of thing? So some people just smile. We all have different means by which we feel this. Oh, I do this by becoming an artist. That's why the left eye is shown to be dark to show that hole. The right eye is turned upside down to show a different view of the world. The light in terms of which I think. Notice the painting brush. So I listen to the world with the aid of a painting brush. Another reason it's always important for me, for example, the school I went to earlier today to interact with school kids is that when I was younger, to when I was in middle school, I used to have a really great weakness. And my greatest weakness in those days was to be able to do this very thing I'm doing this evening, to stand in front of an audience and talk about anything. So I used to be a very taciturn kid. And anytime my class teacher asked me to read a story in front of the class, I would just be extremely afraid. I would fidget a lot. I couldn't ever do it. What helped me though was that this teacher, she told me one day that instead of speaking, if I can't talk about something, I should just draw or paint a picture in my head. And that's why I have so many paintings today. It might seem really little or just a small advice, but that's one of the biggest things, advices that I ever got from anyone. Since that day, I will elaborately paint pictures about things that I really want to talk about. And this teacher, she's just an angel. Sometimes, even in the classroom, she will intentionally skip me whenever we are doing the dictations. And of course, in those days, I used to think that I was just invincible, and then I would be so happy when she bypasses me. But I really do appreciate what she did. I know for certain that she did all those things. Maybe she connived with my parents, I don't know, but she did that because maybe she knew that there was a better way for me to express myself and not to be too scared, as I had that weakness already. As teachers, as educators, as leaders of the community, that this is one of the things that as leaders we ought to look for in everyone, to know that everyone is not created, in one box, and that there are certain things that fit person A that do not fit person B. So whenever we try to box everyone together, I think it causes a lot of problems, as we know, for school and for the society. So the greatest gift of a teacher is to do something like that, to identify the student according to that student. Now the last picture is, so I use this virtually every presentation that I make, so I'll share it with you. I've been talking about love and peace. So true miracles is inspired by the life of an oyster. That's an oyster shell we see at the bottom here. So the most extraordinary thing about an oyster is this, that irritations get into its shell. The oyster doesn't like the irritations, but when it sees that it cannot dispose of the irritation, it chooses it to do the loveliest thing an oyster ever has the chance to make, which is a pearl. That if there are irritations in our lives, there's only one prescription to make a pearl. It may have to be a pearl of patience with a lot of love poured into it, but in any case, make a pearl, and it takes a lot of hope, faith, and love to do it. That sometimes to know anything about ourselves or about a divine being, all we have to do is to look at the oyster, because even though it's so small, this creature, and it lives very deep under the ocean, that when we do bad things, maybe somebody else can destroy us for it, or an almighty being can destroy us. But if they don't do that and forgive, all they are doing is making pearls out of us. Now, I know that here in Bellingham, you guys have no clue what I'm talking about, because we are all good people, right? Because we are all righteous people. So I bet you, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about people in Seattle. Yeah, like everyone is looking at me that, what does that guy mean? What irritations? Yes, I know. But you know what I mean, that forgiveness is really a way to make trust out of people. And the truth is, if we ever studied biology, we will actually see that the life cycle of an oyster, the way it makes that pearl is just magical. These dirt particles that enter its shell, it doesn't like them, but instead of wasting its whole life trying to discard of them, it just keeps pouring enzymes. And enzymes are very precious to animals that secrete them. So in other words, it's like when we love people, so enzyme equals oyster as love equals people. Imagine what it does. It just keeps pouring these precious enzymes of it on top of these very things that are hurting it. Isn't that crazy? So the very things that are hurting it, that it doesn't like, it keeps pouring all of its love on top of it. But that's the beauty, because at the end of the day, when we open up the shell, all we see is the most beautiful pearl. So the pearl, by its nature, betrays the origin that makes it. We cannot tell how beautiful it is from the ugliness that created it. So that, if there are irritations in our lives, let's always make pearls. I love it when I talk to some of the kids. I say, do you guys have any irritations in your life? Even when they are preschool, you'll see their hands up. What kind of irritations do you have? They will say, my brother or my sister. It floors me all the time, because they also know that no matter how much your brother or your sister irritates you, you can't ever get rid of them. Right? You know that these are people you are stuck with your whole life. So better to love and forgive. And imagine how beautiful it would be if we can just retain that as adults. And we all here are going to impact the world in our own ways. Some of us have already, some of us will, as soon as we leave here tonight. That the greatest quality we can have as leaders is not just when we have the money to do the things we want to do, or the military powers to do what we want to do. Sometimes it's just having the ability to forgive somebody else. When we do that as leaders, it saves a lot of lives. I have to tell you something lastly from Africa. Many of us are familiar with what happened in 1994 in the country of Rwanda. And it is the most horrific thing to ever happen in Africa. So what we hear about that story is very simple. It was ethnic genocide. And indeed it is. But the root cause of it, the actual cause of it, it's just when you know it never ceases to amaze and saddens anyone that listens to the story. Because 800,000 people died in that ethnic genocide. All those people might not have died if just two people were able to forgive each other. You know, Kabila, that was the leader of the country at the time, and the man that headed the Hutu tribe. They were even friends, growing up. They were classmates in school. And then because of power, because of lust for money, and all these things, the rest is history. So I tell a lot of my colleagues, because there's no country that actually has in their constitution, forgiveness. That's not very popular. So many times when you don't want to do something, and it's just the nature of politics. People don't vote you into office in order to forgive other people, right? So they want you to show strength. It does take a great leader, great leaders like Martin Luther King and the rest, to actually see the need to forgive. That hate is such a terrible burden to bear. And it makes the world we live in a better one. I think it is, and I think it is just the one thing that we can do to guarantee some measure of sanity and peace in our world. So for those of us that maybe use all those things on the internet, that's the correct spelling of my name. So if you want to name your children after me, that's what you see there. So, but for those of us who use Facebook or email, that's all of the information. I like to connect with you. A lot of these stories I share on my page, I would like to keep up the conversation. I always enjoy being able to interact with people like this, and we could maybe ask questions or have discussions. The work of using art as a tool for peace building can never be done by one person. It's just the need to help everyone to see that dimension of sight, of sound, you know. I think it's a beautiful thing. So I went to the Waldorf school here recently to make a presentation, and the music teacher there, he and I, we really hit it off because the way he presents the music, he's a local Berlinhamite, is that what you call it? Beautiful. So, you know what I mean. So he has, I love his music so much, so I invited him to come and make this little presentation before I show you what this original looks like. So Evan is going to, I love the music that he made during the Martin Luther King celebration, and so I asked him specifically that he should come and help us out tonight. You want to hear like a little music, right? And then we'll unroll it. So writing poems, writing books like this one. This is a new thing that I use at all of the schools, named after me, but published by Scholastic. It's one of the stories that I shared at one of the schools I went to. So I love that mix, you know, dancing between writing, music, and the visual art. And so she's Evan, right?
Sure. That'll work. Well, I've been very privileged to meet and get to know EB for the time he's been here. Anyway, I sang a song for him and he really liked it, and then asked me to sing it in this show and asked me to sing it in this too. So it's hard to say no to EB. As he said, I work at the Waldorf School, and I also work at Bellingham Arts Academy for Youth. Yes. That's Rachel. And one of my students over here. It's a small town. Anyway, we're working on a production of Godspell that I'm very excited about, and this is a song from that. Where are you going? Where are you going? Can you take me with you? For my hand is cold and needs warmth. Where are you going? Far beyond where the horizon lies, where the horizon lies, and the land sinks into mellow blueness. Oh, please take me with you. Let me skip the road with you. I can dare myself, I can dare myself. I'll put a pebble in my shoe and watch me walk. I can walk and walk. I will call the pebble dare. We will talk together about walking. Dare shall be carried, and when we both have had enough, I will take him from my shoe, saying, meet your new road. Then I'll take your hand, finally glad that you are here by my side, by my side, by my side, by my side. You are here by my side.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Evan. All right, so the last thing here, I just want you to see this original. So, because sometimes talking about you're showing a slide doesn't really do
So what's the
as
medium?
much.
What's the medium?
So this is made with acrylic paint, and it's on linen canvas. You see, and so I made it over the period of 4 months, and I was traveling a lot then. So I made part of it in Paris, where UNESCO is headquartered. I made part of it here in the United States, or a lot of it here in the United States, and then the last of it back home in Nigeria. The sky, as you see, very colorful. Do we notice some color in it? Yes. Right, okay. So, and it's hopefully no one sees the sky like this. Or, well, maybe I should put it this way. If this is the way you see the sky, then you need to go to a doctor. It's not true. So the imagination is the surest way to see. One of the things we talk about at the school is that if you see a problem in the world, the solution always starts from your heart. It starts in your heart, and then you impact the world with it. So something might not exist, which is what basically all artists do. We make up stuff, right? What is not in existence, you bring it into existence and impact the world with it. And the idea for the sky is the quilt. So my mother is a tailor who always talks about sewing together. And that's why you might notice the needle here, sewing the world together instead of separating it. And that just like the story of the oyster, some things in life we like, some we do not like. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because all of the colors of the sky, they make it bright. So whether we like the color or not, I've put everything here. So that ugly situations, ugly stories, beautiful stories, say it doesn't matter, it's just life. So let it shine for the world to see. People who pretend too much that there is no bad in the world, we don't want a person or a redeemer who doesn't recognize that there is bad in the world, but who also balances with the hope in the future And so that's the reason for making this. You notice the monarch butterfly? That's because I painted that part in the United States. And, so you did ask about it. So do you see them closer now? So I mean, they are stylized, but so in the riverine area in Nigeria, like when you go to the south, where we have the ocean, so we grow a lot of rice, and you know it's always waterlogged, and you always have those palm trees, and so I always like the beauty of the blue ocean coming in, and the land starting, and then all the grains that come off it. So that's the reason for that part. So sky, the sea, the valley, and the mountains. That's how most of my pictures are divided. Now, it has a lot of fluorescent colors because I use them for the dance drama performance, where actors in front will dance to demonstrate or tell the story of the pictures. And so I've been doing that recently more, and I'm very appreciative to Evan and everyone at BAAY that helped with that performance then. So thank you so much, Evan. So I think I'm going to call back Kelly to close us. So I don't know whether it's any official closing, but
Did you want to answer any questions?
oh, any questions?
Any questions?
Oh, okay.
Solve all the world's problems, didn't you?
How long have you been doing that? How long have you been with the United Nations?
It's 7 years.
7 years?
Yes. So although I won the award much longer, about 10 years ago. So
Okay.
but I didn't get my commissioning until 2010.
Okay.
So
when did you paint this?
so this one I made it in 2006 actually.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
stunning. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes. This book, it talks about Ibis fireflies. You all are like my firefly. It's a book about how fireflies become stars in the middle of the night. And so just a true story, which I made this painting for. But everyone I meet, they always become like those fireflies in my life long ago. I wish I can keep you all in my jar and travel, but that's not always possible. So what's possible is we can remember the story. So I do know that I'll come back to these fireflies here in Bellingham, and yeah. So we'll see, but you'll know about it.
Yeah.
To talk to people individually.
Any other questions from the group, or then we'll break out and leave? Please enjoy the great food by Chef Todd and beverages back
Yeah,
there.
before I go there, because once I get there, that's the closeness.
And I have to say, we have a pretty amazing crowd here tonight. I think I know most of you through various different veins, and you may not know each other though. And you really do represent the arts in the community, and we really are thrilled that you're here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Give a chance.